What is up, people? Welcome to Good Morning Tottenham on We Are Tottenham TV. I'm your guest host this morning. I'm Rez from Shelfside Spurs Show, and joining me is the one, the only Brian Daigle from Tottenham on Tour. Brian, how you doing, mate? Good weekend?
Very good weekend. Very, very good weekend. What about yourself?
It wasn't so bad. It was quiet after my travails up north, up in the northeast. It was nice to come back and veg for a little while, basically.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. We've got quite a bit to talk about today, haven't we?
We do. The news is just pouring in. I think we should just get a start.
Let's get started.
Let's get started. Right. So, as you can see, Spurs contact Everton over Richarlison. So there's been. I'm going to bring up some of the tweets that we've had.
I'll read that. I've got them right here, so I'll do them. So the tweets we have got from the Bubble, which is an Everton source. Tottenham have contacted Everton over Richarlison now. Everton want £60 million, and that is what they consider an exceptional offer. Everton are expecting an offer in the coming days. Mm-hmm. Lucas Moura could be set to join Everton if Richarlison moves the other way. Tottenham have also gotten nowhere near Everton's valuation, and that is from both those last two are from Matt Law. Mm-hmm. David Ornstein has said Tottenham's first choice target is Richarlison.
Interesting.
And then Sky Sports Lyle has said Chelsea are considering rivaling THFC for Everton forward. And then finally, we got two from Romano.
Oh, yeah.
And those two are Tottenham have already had direct talks with Richarlison's new agent, or agents, should I say. And then Tottenham have a good relationship after the Dele Alli deal in January.
Yes.
So that is where we are with Richarlison, where it's kind of, we're making a bid, he's our first, we're nowhere near, Lucas may be going, but we are talking to the agents.
And Everton like us for some reason.
Yes.
I don't understand that last one. I mean, it's like we sold them a player that hasn't done anything for them. So why are they so happy?
That I don't know, but like I said, I have a brand new respect for Frank Lampard for just buying our players. It's a strange one, isn't it?
I think so. I'll tell you what, Bob is going to be happy, Bob Spur TV, because he's been banging the Richarlison drum for weeks now. But there's a lot of noise going around all this, and we've not really operated that way since this transfer window began. It's not been the targets that have sort of been in the news and all the noise has been about that we've got. You know, you said it.
So no, someone said it to me. So I hit the roof when I saw Sky Sports released that Chelsea have now entered the fray, and I thought, oh, here we go again, Diaz all over again. But then I was speaking to one of my mates who was like, do you know what? And he's correct. He said, if you look at it, we didn't go for Perisic, or we didn't know about Perisic until it was practically wrapped up. Everyone thought it was Sam Johnston when it was Fraser Foster. And with Basuma, we were linked with every other midfielder apart from him. So who knows? This could be the biggest of smokescreens if it's to revert to type this summer. But this is dragging out again, isn't it? Again,
yeah. It's the fact that, I mean, pre-season starts Monday, is it? Yeah, yes. Monday, with some of the injured players already back, which we'll come to later. And yet, after that initial flurry, things seem to have died down a little bit, and that's not necessarily cause for concern per se, but it's worrying.
Yeah, it is.
I just said it's not a cause for concern and then said it's worrying. So
there you go. We're just talking about blooper reels.
Yeah, exactly. It is a cause for concern for me anyway, not for anyone else.
But how do you stand on the How are you on Richarlison?
I think he would fit what I consider to be the sort of necessary thing that we need in terms of what we need up front. I've been saying that when you play a 3-4-3, you know, when you've got three positions that need filling, you need five to cover for injury and to rotate. And the best type of player would be one that is comfortable playing anywhere across that front three. Richarlison does fit that bill. I mean, he's not an out-and-out striker, but he can play in the striker position. You know, and that can give options as well for rotating. You could drop Kane deep, for instance. He can go up front. You know, that's a possibility. He's seemingly comfortable on the left or the right. So it fits. It works. for me, I'm not. I don't have any one player that I think it has to be that player, and Richarlison is the same. But yeah, you know, if we can get him, I think he'd be useful.
Yeah, I sitting next to Simeon, who's been sitting there. Obviously, he brainwashed me. Bob Spur has as well. I wouldn't mind him coming in. We just need to see some movement. Hopefully it will happen. But I will say before we go further, we've had a super chat from a good friend of ours, Mr. Ryan Isaacs Kennard.
What's up, Ryan?
Who has just had a long weekend in Brighton celebrating his birthday.
Dirty.
And he has said, good morning. Sadly, couldn't get hold of Lamptey when I was in Brighton. What a weekend. Don't want to lose Mora, would rather give them weeks. So first of all, I've seen people in the comments before. There is no update on Jed Spence today. There is no update.
What?
We have. I know. Take a step back. So there's no right back talk whatsoever from what I remember we're going through. That's gone dead. So there's no Lamptey talk. But he's mentioned Mora. Wiggs, I think, is a done deal. I'm not going to say what, but we'll see. I think it may be a done deal. Mora surprises me because I heard with Mora in this deal, or I heard that Mora just wanted to see out his contract and then go back to Sao Paulo and end his career. So this is a strange one for me.
Yeah, I don't give much credence to the Mora to Everton talk. You know, he's never come across as the player that is sort of agitating for first team football all the time. That might not be the case. It might be that we just don't see it and that he does agitate for it. And that if he goes to Everton, he's more likely to get more first-team football than he will at Spurs. But the noises that we've heard and the sort of talk that we've heard is, as you say, he's happy at Spurs. He loves the club. He's happy to stay here for the rest of his contract and then move back home to Sao Paulo where, to be fair, he's treated not as a god, because Neymar has that thing, but he's sort of like a demigod to Sao Paulo fans. So I think they'd love to see him back, and he'd love to go back and retire there as a Brazilian. So I don't see Mora to Everton. I don't know where that comes from, to be honest.
Yeah, and from what I heard, like the Højbjerg Walker Peters deal, this Wiggs is going to be a separate transaction. It's not going to be done as a. So I can't see Mora bringing into it. And I've loved Mora, or when I say I love him. I've always wanted more from him, and I thought last season he started off really, really well, and then obviously it faded off. But he's one of those players that are good to have around, isn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He brings energy, he brings passion, he brings a love for the club to the dressing room. You know, his sort of COYS thing is pretty infectious, and you can see that. You can see the affection he has for the club. There's nothing wrong with that. He's not. Look, we're not saying he's like a world beater or anything like that, but I'm not going to lose a huge amount of sleep if he doesn't go, as long as we get some upgrades for those forward positions. If it's a case of the forward sort of five, which at the moment is Bergwijn, Mora, Kane, Son and Kulusevski, if that stays the same, that's a failure this season, this transfer window, in my opinion. But if it's a case of, you know, we get, say, Richarlison and let's say Rafinha, you know, and then we've also got Mora sort of in the squad too, I'm not gonna complain about that.
Okay, I've just had a slight update from it.
Oh yeah,
it's not a huge, but apparently there's a clause with Everton that Watford get 10% of any deal.
For
that is over 40 million. So that could be a
for Richarlison.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So that could be another implication.
Right.
Or another.
That might push the price up.
Exactly. Yeah, because if it goes over 40, we all know it's going to be over 40. 10% is going straight into Watford skyrocket.
Yeah.
Everton sell it and Watford get the sell-on.
Because he played for Watford
we have a
first.
Watford fan in the back end who's getting happy there. No, Watford get it. Watford get it if we buy over 40 million. So that could have a bit of a snag to it, couldn't it? And
well, that's it. I mean, if Everton have got, say, a target that they want to purchase with the Richarlison money, then they're going to have to make sure that, you know, they raise enough, although it doesn't work that way, as I've said countless times on the internet. You know, if their thinking is like, we want to structure this so we can then purchase who we want to purchase with the money that we're going to be getting from Spurs, then they're going to have to factor in that 10% that they've got to then pass back to Watford. So I can see it. For me, I don't mind the price tag. I don't have an issue with it. Listen, if it's 60 million, if it's 70 million, if it's 90 million, if it's 400 million, you know, the point of it is that ultimately the price is set by the seller. Everton say this is how much we want. Spurs decide that it's most important to get that player in. That's the price you have to pay.
Yeah, we've got to look at it as well. Richarlison said he's not going to come out and say, I want to move.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to do it to the Everton fans.
Of course.
Do you reckon he could do if this drags on?
I don't think so. A player takes a big risk when they say something like that, because you're nailing your colours to the mast. You know, it's a similar shades of the Bastoni deal, where his agent has turned around and saying he's staying at Inter.
Yep.
But you know, we all know that there's sort of games being played behind the scenes, and he's doing it for political reasons. Richarlison has got no stake in that particular game. To turn around and say no, I don't want to ask for a move, and then later asks for a move. You know, we've seen that blow up in players' faces, so I don't see it happening. It will be a case of Spurs and Everton will do the negotiations. If they're successful, he will move. If not, he'll either move somewhere else or not move at all.
And there we go. So we'll go on to the next story very shortly. But we've had Bob Spurs put in a super chat.
Has he?
Thank you, Bob Spur. And he's channeling his inner Martin Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just wanted to let everyone know, and we're live. So thank you, Bob Spur, for doing that. Now, the next story.
He's in the studio with me tomorrow.
Yep.
Right. If he even opens his mouth and says the word "and" in that tone of voice, I might go for him.
Yep.
Right. You've been warned, Bob. I don't like Martin Tyler.
So here we go. The next story is Rafinha. And there is still interest. Leeds are still bracing themselves for this interest. And the stories that we have are, first of all, from Romano. And Romano is saying Tottenham are really interested in Rafinha. They are discussing with Leeds about the potential verbal proposal. Here we go. Antonio Conte is a big fan of the player. Spurs understand it's a really competitive race. I'm glad we understand that.
Yes.
And
it's helpful to know.
I love these tweets.
The insight, it's so sharp.
I'm going to read that again just so people understand it. Tottenham are really interested in Rafinha. They are discussing with Leeds about the potential verbal proposal. On Friday, when I did with Bob, Leeds were bracing themselves, but now Leeds are about a potential verbal proposal.
About the possibility of maybe tabling a bid to talk about whether or not we might be interested.
Correct. So Antonio Conte is a big fan of the player. Spurs understand it's a really competitive race. And then from Matteo Moretto, Arsenal are leading the filth are leading the race for Rafinha. There is no full agreement yet, but the parties are in constant contact and continue to get closer.
Sounds like they're organising a relationship. It's like, yeah, we've been on a couple of dates, and we seem to like each other more. We're continuing to get closer. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, what you got to worry about, and it's only like we said, it's all Twitter and it's all speculation. But the wording of ours, where we're preparing to have a brace for a potential talk, Arsenal's are, there is no full agreement yet, but the parties are in constant contact and continue to get closer.
Yep.
So
it's a bit of a I mean, these are this sort of tweet is filler, right?
Yep.
Because ultimately, if a club is interested in a player, they are going to be in constant contact, you know, and if talks are progressing, they will continue to get closer. There's no real insight or new information in there. You can take it as read, right? If your club is interested in a player, there will be continuous talks and they will get closer until it breaks down or the transfer is done, right? So these sort of tweets, I don't see the point of doing it. What are you telling us that's new? Nothing. No, but the point is, what do you think of Rafinha? Are you, I mean, I've seen him play for Leeds. You know, there's some good things there. There's certainly talent there. Does he fit at Spurs?
Well, first of all, I have to say with these tweets, I think, did you used to watch Friends?
Of course.
So do you remember where Joey writes a letter for the adoption and he uses every word with a thesaurus?
Yeah.
That's what I think these people are doing. They're just saying the same words.
Just in a different way.
Exactly. Let's just get the thesaurus out and come up with new terminology.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But how do I feel? Listen, I think Rafinha is a really good player. Danny did a great show yesterday on Tottenham on Tour with Rafinha and Richarlison, and he's a huge fan. I mean, a huge fan of Richarlison. I love what Richarlison does. He's exciting. He's direct. I just think Richarlison offers a bit more across the three positions. I think Raphinha may be the better player in the right wing, but he is a right winger.
Right.
Whereas Richarlison can obviously offer more variability and play in different positions. Variability, there's a word.
Variability, yeah.
But yeah, so way I look at it, either one of them improve our team. There's no doubt that they don't. And I think either one that comes in will do a good job. But I'm still edging on the side of Richarlison, much to Danny's disapproval.
Can you envisage them both being signed?
No. The only reason I say that is if you look at the money, we're not going to spend 120 odd million because that's what it's going to take. That 150 on two forwards. When the right wing back, we all know needs to be done.
Yeah.
Left centre back, a midfielder. Do you see both?
Well, it's not. I don't know. This is the thing. I think that Spurs have got the capacity to sign both and to sign a right wing back and a central defender, because first of all, let's talk about the 150 million, right? Again, I tried to forewarn, but obviously I'm only a single voice. It's not 150 million all to be used on transfers.
Yep.
We've said it time and again, but again, people just don't seem to want to listen. It's £150 million realised by the club through a share purchase. That 150 million could come at any point before the end of the year, not necessarily this summer. And the statement quite categorically said it would be used for deals on and off the pitch, right?
Correct.
So tell me how a player purchase or transfers counts as off the pitch. It doesn't, all right? The point you've got to bear in mind, the important thing is that Spurs are a club with around a £300 million a year turnover. Okay, Arsenal have a similar turnover to us. They've spent £250 million over the last 2 seasons on players. So if they can do it, we can do it. So don't worry about the 150 million.
True.
Right? If Richarlison's 60 million, we can afford it. If Raphinha's 60 million as well, let's say 50, he's a bit cheaper.
Yep.
Let's say 110 million, we can afford that. If we then want to spend another 60 million on a defender, we can afford that. If we want to spend another 50 million on a right wing back, we can afford that.
Yep.
Right? This is the big, this is the sort of big hoodwink that's gone on. The Spurs are some kind of, in this situation where they've got no money. Bollocks. They've got money. We've got money. We can spend it. So for me, if I'm quite happy to say, get them both in, Richarlison and Raphinha, because we can afford it.
So there's 2 comments I want to bring up. First of all, Ben, the Coffee Man Kaufman, member for 11 months. Well done, Ben. And he's just said, yeah.
Beautiful.
But then I wanted to bring up, there was a comment, and I'm going to find it by a guy called Paul. There it is. So he goes, I'm not a fan, but Richarlison fits what we need better, and Raphinha fits what Arsenal need better. And I think he's right.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's the way to look at it. What we've got to remember as well is we may not like the player.
No.
You may not like the player.
Absolutely.
Everyone watching. But if Conte likes that player, then it's fair play. We know this, and let's just hope this all resolves itself soon.
Absolutely.
I've got a funny feeling deals are going to get done whilst I'm in the air tomorrow. It's like that's what he'd do, wouldn't he?
Doing an Alistair Gold.
Yeah,
whenever you leave.
He'd just do it. He probably knows that I'm going to. I'm flying tomorrow. It's like, right, let's start doing stuff.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so that's where we are with Raphinha. There's a lot of comments going in about Raphinha and Richarlison. Let's just hope one of these. But like the mate said to me, these two we've been constantly linked with, and if you look at the 3 players we have been gone and got, we haven't been linked with a single one of them until bang, we're interested, bang, it's done. So this could be the biggest wool over our eyes, and something's going on over there. Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see when it comes to Richarlison, Raphinha. Wait, I've just got another thing sent to me by Alistair Gold. Okay, Spurs have now drawn down 100 million of their first chunk of the unit cash injection to put towards the summer transfer. So he said that.
That broke yesterday.
That broke yesterday. It did indeed. Or no, it broke Saturday. Saturday it broke.
Saturday, right?
Saturday it broke. So the next one that we've got to talk about is Steven Bergwijn. Imminent.
Yes.
So this does look like it's gathering pace. I was watching Sky Sports News this morning, and we have 2 quotes here. First of all, from Fabrizio Romano.
Okay.
which is saying new direct talks will take place this week between Ajax and Tottenham over Steven Bergwijn.
Mm-hmm.
And then from ADNL, Ajax and Tottenham have already agreed the fixed fee of the transfer, which will be 25 million euros for Bergwijn. Spurs want to present a new player before his exit, however.
Really? We do we? Okay. Because that happens all the time. That's what we do. That's how we act. I mean, no one's going to listen. There'll be one or two people who'll be very sorry for Bergwijn to leave. And I can understand that. Yes, by all means, he's got talent. Hasn't really had a fair rub of the green, if you like, at Spurs. That's arguable, absolutely. But there's not going to be that much noise that Spurs would want to sort of mitigate the despair of seeing Stevie B leave by presenting another player, I don't know. I'm happy that he's got his move. He doesn't want to be here anymore. I can understand why he doesn't want to be here anymore, because he's not getting first team football. Fine, let him go back to Ajax and restart his career. I wish him nothing but luck.
Exactly. I mean, he's a player that I really like. I'm upset that it hasn't worked out for him. But I'm also upset the way he's handling things over the last few weeks. Hasn't covered himself in glory, so to speak. But it's a move that I think both the club and the player need. And when it comes to parading, the only thing I will say is, thank God, I can't remember, it used to be get them out, then we get the replacement in.
Absolutely.
So that would be a change in the way we've operated, which will be a good sign. But yeah, this deal's going to come to a head. I think that Ajax are about to new talks. I was hearing say they're getting money somewhere. There's a player leaving Ajax very, very shortly, so they're going to have funds available to say, right, here we go, let's get this done. So who knows? This one might get done this week.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, I think before the transfer window opened, if you said what one transfer in or out can you pretty much have nailed on, I think it was Stevie B leaving.
Yep.
Because it was even before the season ended that all the talk was, look, I want to go. So, to be honest, I'm surprised it's taken this long, if I'm being honest. I thought it would have been done much earlier. And I know we're only a couple of weeks into the transfer window, but I thought they would have had it all agreed and done and dusted before the season ended. So, yeah, good luck to him. That's fine. It was an experiment that didn't work.
Yeah, and the other thing we've got to look at, and I've completely forgot about. Oh yeah, outgoings. It's about time we had some outgoings to clear some space, to clear some room for incomings. Because as much as we all want the incomings, we've got to look at. We need to get rid of some players and balance the books, but also just get rid of players that aren't going to figure.
Absolutely.
And replace them with quality.
Yeah.
So hopefully
the squad has been stagnant for so long. I know we've had players come in, but there've been players there that have been there for a long time. Actually, weirdly, Steven Bergwijn isn't one of them. But in a way, his transfer out would produce a lot of a sort of refreshing feel. It's like we're no longer going to stick by our investment if it's not providing a return, if you want to use financial terms, He's not delivered for whatever reason. I'm not saying it's his fault, but he hasn't delivered. The relationship isn't working. It was like Dele Alli, time for him to go. A bit like Harry Winks as well, I think.
Yeah, you're right. And just to that, I'm just trying to keep on top of Super Chats so we don't get smothered by them. We got one from Dan COYS. Shout out to Rez and Brian. Good stream, guys. Covering you Spurs. Thank you very much buddy. Indeed, Dan. And then we just got a members chat in, which is from Scorpions Fan for Life. This guy's a top dude. He's a great supporter of all channels. Is there really a 30 million difference between Stevie and Richarlison and Rafinha? Does more playing time really add so much value? Whoever takes Stevie will get a bargain.
No, that's
great comment.
It is, but it's about, look, if you go into a shop to buy a Mars bar, right, and that shop wants to sell it to you for say 75p, right, then you walk along and you go to another shop and you walk in and you want to buy a Galaxy bar, and they want to charge you £2, right? That doesn't mean that the Galaxy bar is worth £2. It also doesn't mean that the Mars bar is worth 75p. the price is set by whoever sells it. Yeah. Richarlison is not worth £60 million, but he will cost £60 million. Let's say that's the price, because that's the price that Everton want. Everton don't have to sell to us. They don't have to sell to anyone. So when they say we want 60 million, that's what they want. They're not saying the player is worth 60 million. They're saying that's how much we want, because you've got to add in what they lose. They've valued what they lose by getting rid of the player at 60 million, not that the player themselves is worth 60 million. So it's not a comparison that is really, it's not going to gain you any benefit to sort of look at that and say, well, Bergwijn is worth this or that or the other. It's how much we're willing to accept for him. And it's refreshing because, 25 million is quite a low price, but we're willing to get it because maybe, hopefully, please, dear God, let it be a case of we've changed our attitude.
This is something I was saying at the beginning, that will be a key sign. If we start getting rid of some players that don't have a future with Conte, and we don't charge the ridiculous over the price odds to get the player out, it's a big sign.
Absolutely, and we've been crying out for this. We've got to start operating differently. Okay, we can't continue the way that we have been for the last however many years it is. We've got to understand that the analogy I use is that the footballing side of a club is a black hole into which money disappears. If occasionally money comes back out of it, that's a bonus. But you shouldn't be thinking of it as some kind of long-term investment that you're going to realise profit from later. Just, you've got to keep pouring money in. Hopefully that attitude or that thought might be percolating into the minds of the hierarchy at Spurs, because that's what we desperately need.
Correct. And like you started, I'll end this segment with saying, I wish Bergwijn nothing but success, apart from if he plays England in a World Cup or Euros, then not, or Tottenham in the Champions League. So we're going to move on to the next one now, and this is a big one.
Yeah.
This is a big one. Now everyone has been talking about this guy, and this guy is a real player.
Just to clarify, that should be enquiry, not inquiry. An inquiry is something you look into when there's a disaster. So that's not what's happening at the moment.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go. So yes, we're now having.
Sorry, Sam.
We are having an inquiry, and there's quite a few things to get through with this one. So starting with Nabil Delit. Tottenham Hotspur have inquired for RP Leipzig central defender Shizoko Gvardiol. Then we have it from Alistair Gold saying Gvardiol is at the top of the list for Tottenham, above Pastoni.
Wow.
He would most likely cost 80 million. Paratici has likely spoken to his representatives and inquired about Gvardiol. That's from Alistair. Then we have from here we go. Sportska Novosti. Thank you very much indeed. Gvardiol is set to sign a new improved contract with RB Leipzig, and which will include a clause on how much he can leave for next summer.
Right.
He is in no hurry to leave this summer due to the World Cup and Champions League football with Leipzig. So
that doesn't make any sense, because
we've gone from top of the list, and he's got. So again, listen, we all know what's happening. News comes out, and it's what we take from it.
Yeah.
But what we do know is this player would have a huge impact at Tottenham Hotspur.
I think so, absolutely. But I mean, just to be honest, I just want to look at that last paragraph. He is in no hurry to leave this summer due to the World Cup and Champions League football with Leipzig. Okay. First of all, if he comes to Spurs, he's got Champions League football. Second of all, if he comes to Spurs, he's likely to go into the first team straight away. And so he will be playing in the most competitive league in the world in the run-up to a World Cup that's going to happen 3 months after he arrives. So, if anything, he should be more likely to want to move in the summer if the World Cup and Champions League football are his priorities, not less likely. That's just ridiculous.
The only counteract I have to that is, could he be saying, do you know what, I'm settled, I know Germany, I know everything well. If I come to England and I can't settle, or I don't get off to the best of starts at Tottenham, it may have an impact.
Maybe.
Yes, he's going to get Champions League football at Tottenham. Yes, if he plays like he has been, he'll be straight in the first team and he will go to the World Cup. But there are those players that take time.
Yeah, true. I can imagine that.
And people don't want to mess about with their World Cup place for their country.
Yeah, fair enough.
So that's the only thing I have. The rest of it, But yeah, this guy will be. Could you imagine him and Romero?
Oh, it'd be like a wall in front of our goal. It would be amazing. It really would be amazing.
And you look at the age of Romero.
Yeah, he's in
23, 24.
4, yeah.
And then you look at Gvardiol, who's, I believe, 21.
Yep.
And then you've got a defence. Like we had the best in Jan and Toby, and they were getting at their peak. But if you could have this centre-back or two of the three for a consistent amount of time, the partnership and what these two could bring to our defence.
Absolutely. You just need a goalkeeper, then a long-term goalkeeper to sort of fill the sort of trinity almost. You know, those three. It doesn't matter who the other centre back is because those two would be good enough.
So
and you can fit in someone like a Dyer or a Davis.
Now I'm going to ask you.
Not that I'm advocating for that.
There's obviously the three big positions we're talking now. The two forwards, Rafinha and Richarlison.
Yep.
And Gvardiol.
Yep.
If we were to splash big, and I mean, obviously, they're all big. If we had to splash big on one, who are you saying?
Gvardiol.
Yep. Okay.
Has to be. The defence, our attack is, our front three are amongst the best in the world. Yes, they need some cover. They need some sort of, so you can rotate so they don't get burnt out. But we go back to what Ferguson once said. Goals win games. Defences win titles.
There you go. Just want to say, Morton Anderson has said, could you just imagine if them two came, Dyer holding his two pit bulls? I think that's the way to say it. It would be great. But yeah, I mean, them two, like I say, even when Davinson Sanchez had his first season at the back three, he had a good season, but he had Jan and Toby outside of him.
Absolutely.
So I think this left back, if we can get the left back, centre back, and right centre back, close the door, and then Dyer can obviously do what he does. I think out of the three, obviously Romero's not going to get replaced, but out of those two, I think sorting the left centre back out with a solid one is more important than centre back.
Absolutely.
I don't know what people in the comments think, but
look, I mean, there's a lot been said about Eric Dyer and some of his failings. We're not going to deny any of that. There have been failings, but this season gone, if you ignore everything else, this last season, he has been solid.
Yes.
Right? Not outstanding, not ridiculously amazing. Romero has been better. But as a centre-back, he has been solid. And I would, again, if it's a case of we've got Gvardiol on the left, Romero on the right, and it's Dyer that plays a centre-back, I won't die in a ditch over that. I won't cry myself to sleep over the fact that we haven't replaced Eric Dyer.
Well, if you actually look at it, I think we did worse when Dyer was out compared to when Romero was out.
Yes, true.
In all honesty. But there you go. We've got another super chat in from Bob Spur TV.
Oh, yeah.
So, thank you, Bob Spur, saying Gvardiol Kleenex rating 8.5. Need to look at two wing-backs, though.
Yes.
So yeah, it's true.
Yes.
But I think Gvardiol, just the talk of him, if we could push this through, that would be a statement signing.
I think so.
That
absolutely.
would be Colossus.
Absolutely.
Or colossal, shall I say?
Colossal. Yeah, no, it would. And he would be a Colossus, hopefully.
There you go.
Yeah. And this is really what this summer's transfer window should be about. It should be about Spurs making statements like that, saying we are now serious about winning things. Right? It's never guaranteed. You can never guarantee a win of anything. Right? But you can turn around and demonstrate that you are serious about it. And if we can turn around and take that stagnant, slightly that brittle squad with a mentality that has allowed to sort of fester and rot a little bit, refresh it, you've got a world-class manager who can then shape that squad into a winning machine. That is a statement. Okay? If at the end of next season we haven't won anything, okay, but this summer we've done what we should have done, I'm not going to turn around and criticize anyone. It just happens. We could get unlucky. But we've got to go out there, a centre-back, two new forwards, two new right wing-backs. I'm sorry, Emerson. Two new right wing-backs. And one of them doesn't have to be or shouldn't, it shouldn't be a case of it has to be Jed Spence. I'm sorry, guys. it should be at least one stellar right wing back, not necessarily expensive, but one that is proven, and then maybe Jed Spence, but preferably another one. And then you can get Jed Spence as well to develop for later on. We do that, and I will go into the season and say we've done good business.
Correct. I completely agree with you. So let's hope these rumours start gathering some pace and an offer comes in. But we'll move on to another defender now.
Yeah,
and it's Barcelona's Longley. Yes,
that's how it's pronounced. Longley.
And what have we got here? So this one has come from Samuel Marsden. Molly? Yeah, you can do that.
Lawrence.
Okay. Rashid Raham, which has said talks ongoing between Spurs, Barcelona over Lenglet on loan. The Catalan side, who wanted a permanent transfer but are open to loan deals, hopes the player can be convinced he is open to leaving Barca and meeting with Conte if is possible. Right. So here we go with Lenglet, and then we have another one from Mundo Deportivo. THFC have made a loan with an option to buy bid for Clement Lenglet. AS Roma have made a permanent transfer offer. Barcelona wants to offload the centre-back by the end of June. So this could be moving very, very, very quickly.
If it's true, the guy has got a wealth of riches to choose from. It's a case of who do you want to play for, Jose Mourinho or Antonio Conte?
Champions League or Europa League.
That is also true. Again, another centre-back. It's what we need. But all the time, there's what you said at the beginning in my mind. All the transfers we've made this summer so far have been ones that were completely off the radar.
Correct.
So, there's been all the talk about Bastoni, Bremer, Gvardiol, Longley,
Richarlison, Rafinha. Oh, we're talking defenders.
That's 4 different defenders we've been linked with quite heavily. We might turn around next week and be talking about a defender that no one has mentioned yet. And that could be the one that lands. You don't know. So take it all with a pinch of salt, in my view. Ultimately, it's good that we are linked with defenders because we do need at least one.
For sure. Like Bosper said, and we've all been saying, right wing back needs to be resolved.
Definitely.
But it's good to have these defensive options. Yeah. And Lenglet, would you want him permanently, or would you? Roma look like they've gone in with a permanent deal. I'm more happy with ours with a loan with a option.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an objection to a loan with an option or a loan with an obligation. That's how we got Romero. It's Kulusevski's technically on loan still, So I don't have an issue with a loan with a potential purchase later. I don't believe that ever causes problems for the player necessarily. So look, if the club want to be a little canny when it comes to finance, I don't have an issue with that. I've said it before. For me, it's not necessarily that we do or don't spend. It's the fact that we spend badly. We spend for sort of seemingly for investment purposes or for financial purposes rather than for football purposes. If Longley is the player that Conte thinks is going to do the job, I don't care how we get him in. Loan or purchase, one way or the other, get him in.
And what's your thoughts in, though, from what you've seen?
I haven't seen a huge amount about him. I've heard a lot of people give him props, saying he's a good defender. Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
why the hell not?
I've heard mixed kind of. He's one of those Marmite ones, but I think it is shading on the positive. So now. Yeah. We're going to move on to a very good subject.
A very, very positive thing. I might do a little dance, everyone.
I want to see this. So, it's Ndombele. And Tanguy Ndombele's Tottenham, or our Tanguy Ndombele nightmare, not Tanguy Ndombele's Tottenham nightmare, could be coming to an end, because it is believed by TAKEOVER, and this broke a lot yesterday, that Tottenham have accepted Galatasaray's loan with option to buy for Tanguy Ndombele. Now, my thoughts on this, obviously, I just want him out the door. I want him out the door. But I'll tell you one thing, the Turkish league is one of the most brutal leagues you will ever come up against. Mm-hmm. And if he mucks about like he did here, it's not going to end well for him. But no. I, for one, am just to be very, very happy to see him out the door.
Yeah. I don't care where he goes. I honestly don't. Okay? I don't know if there is one, but if there was like an outer Mongolian league and, Ulaanbaatar FC wanted Ndombele. I don't know if Ulaanbaatar is actually in outer or inner Mongolia. Apologies to Mongolia. But if they wanted him, I would give them Ndombele for free. Get him out of the club. Just out. I don't even want him to come back for like 4 minutes of preseason. Just don't come back ever, is my view of Ndombele.
Yeah, it's not worked out. We all thought we had a star in the making. He has shown glimpses of it. There is no doubt he has shown glimpses of it. It's just not worked out. No. The final straw for me was obviously when he ran off walked off. I wanted to run it when he walked off the pitch at against Morecambe in the FA Cup. I think that was the final nail in the coffin. And even you look at it, even when he went to Lyon, it was the same. He had a few good games, and I don't want him anywhere near the team. Even when they were talking about putting him with the under-23s, I don't want him anywhere near Alfie Devine, Dane Scarlett, Malachi Walcott, or any of them.
You don't want that attitude infecting anyone. And this is the thing. It's like Steven Bergwijn's come out and has complained about his lack of playing time and stuff like that. The one thing you can turn around, I give him more credit than I would Ndombele, because he at the very least, you could say he's concerned with his career. He wants to play. And Ndombele hasn't shown that he gives shit number one about playing, let alone playing for Spurs. If Bergwijn doesn't want to play for Spurs, it's because he is of the opinion that Spurs don't want to play him. Fine. And Ndombele, he could have been a superstar. He could have been what Pogba thought he was, right? He could have come into the Premier League and taken the league by storm, and he didn't. It was complacent. It was and I would have had sympathy for him for the fact that he might have been homesick. He might not have understood what he was getting into, but this is something that's happened before. Okay, he dropped down to the basement of the French league because he wasn't working hard. Yeah, that was the kick. That was a kick up the arse for him, and he improved. Why does he do it again? Did he not learn?
Yeah, it's now just kind of time to cut your cloth accordingly.
Yep.
It's not going to work out for him at Tottenham. Conte's not going to give him another chance. I don't feel he deserves one, and it is time to say goodbye. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Satangi could be off, and we will be talking about another. We've talked about a Turkish team. We're about to talk about a Turkish player, and I'm going to let you say his name. But we have had a super chat first, and it's from Luke Diamond. Or Dimmond, sorry, my bad. It says, Dyer was A1 last season, deserves to keep his place. His communication, organisation was key, keeps the line in shape, and it's passionate about the club. Yeah. I agree with everything you just said.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the same with Davis for me as well. I will talk about Dyer, but Dyer and Davis have both been players that we've sort of loved to have a go at. In recent times, but this season gone, both of them really have shown, good play, dedication, hard work, and you just can't complain about Dyer at all for last season. You've got to give him the credit. He acquitted himself very, very well, and 100% what Dimmond said, definitely.
So So now, like I said, I'm going to let you go on to the Turkish player, because I, for the life of me, cannot pronounce his name.
Do you want me to read the whole tweet as well? Because that's his. Okay, fine. So,
I want you to do that.
So this is from Calcio Mercato. Antonio Conte wants Inter Milan and Turkish playmaker Hakan Çalhanoğlu this summer, and Spurs are ready to include either Davinson Sanchez or Giovanni Lo Celso in a deal. Interesting. What do you know about this? I've never heard of him.
He's a good player. He's a good player. I've got. When I was still living here, I had a very, very good friend that I used to go to Spurs with. He's Turkish, and he watches Turkish football and Turkish players, and he raves about this guy. He would be a good addition for a creative midfielder. He can he'd be able to do bits. And if it got rid of Lo Celso or Davinson Sanchez, because again, this looks like the avenue we're going down at the moment, and I can understand why if it's an easier way to get the players out. So I would welcome this deal, but then it just depends if it's just a straight player plus cash or just a straight player swap. But yeah, I think he could do bits at Tottenham.
Yeah, if we can at the same time get rid of Lo Celso specifically, that is a bonus as well. Lo Celso for me is in a similar vein to Ndombele in terms of he's not wanted. I don't want him at the club. He's not demonstrated. You see, when it was just the way that he played and the fact that he didn't play very well, I was always willing to give him a chance and say, look, if he works, if he tries, you've got to give the player a chance. And then after a while, you say he's not going to do it. Then there was all the talk about his attitude and the way that he treated certain members of staff, the fact that he was sort of really arrogant with it and stuff like that. And that turned me off him. So if Conte doesn't want him, I don't want him, you know. I don't think any Spurs fan really wants GLC back. It's weird. There are still one or two that would defend Tongi, but I can't remember anyone actually defending Giovanni Lo Celso since he left on loan in the winter. Yeah, cut the cord, get rid of him.
Exactly, but you're saying you'd rather get rid of him than Davinson?
Yeah, I would. I mean, Sanchez's departure is not a pressing priority for me. That's the thing. There have been times when Sanchez has played really well. There have been times where he's played like Bambi on ice. But Lo Celso, I can't remember him doing anything good for Spurs at any point. I really can't remember it. I'm sure there must have been like a couple of moments, but in general, no. So Sanchez, if he stays, yeah, you know, for the sake of his career, it's probably best if he does go somewhere because he's not going to get a huge amount of game time. But if he doesn't go, that's an okay central defender that you can use in an emergency, as he showed at the end of the season when Romero was out. So yeah, it's not a priority for me, but GLC is because of his attitude.
So people know I like Sanchez, but I've stuck up for him and I do like it. But what I find weird with Davinson is when he comes in like he did at the end of the season, over a short period of time, he's very, very good. But normally players need more game time to find their form.
Yeah.
But once he has had a few games, that's when it's like 3-4 games, 5 you could do. And then, for some reason, you start making these brain burps and absolutely start mucking up.
The reverse thing.
Exactly.
You know, first few games, a player usually doesn't play all that well and then finds his feet. He finds his feet and then loses them.
Exactly. That's exactly what he does. We had another... when we're talking about Ndombele very quickly, Chris, big up, member for 9 months, said Ndombele can leave, lazy player. Yeah, we discussed that, but I'd like to know what people in the comments think who they'd rather lose out of the deal, whether it be Sanchez or Gio. But I think Gio must feel really bad at the moment. He's just a make weight for about 8 deals at the moment. It's like, yeah, you can have him.
Tough.
Yeah, that's what's happened. It's a shame it's come that way.
Yeah. I don't feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for players that get hate when they don't deserve it. Right? Like for instance, I don't like people who hate on Harry Winks.
Yep.
I don't want Harry Winks at the club, but I don't hate him. Right? The same with Dele. I didn't hate Dele, just didn't want him at the club. Lo Celso, I also don't hate because hate is not really part of my makeup in that sense. But I don't like him as a player, as a person. I don't want him at the club because I don't believe that as a person he is likable. You know, I still don't excuse abuse. I don't say that he's right to be abused, but I don't feel sorry for him at all.
Well, there you go. Now we're going to get on to the last talking point before we start bringing people on to join us, and it's all about players returning for pre-season. And from Charlie Eccleshare, we have got pre-season for the majority of the squad begins next Monday. But for the players returning from injuries like Ollie Skip, Japhet Tanganga and Matt Doherty, a pre-season begins at Hotspur Way today. Pre-season, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's a new Conte thing, isn't it? A pre-season.
Absolutely.
So players are starting to make their way back, which is great to see.
Absolutely.
The June just flies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really just flies. I mean, normally there's a World Cup that we've all been enjoying, but
that's right.
But obviously,
and then it tends to drag because it's like, when does the World Cup start?
Yeah.
But this one is just it's flown past.
And it looks like it's good to see that they are back in pre-season. Yeah. So the players will start coming in now. Normally, the first few days, not for them three, will be like on the weights, check their body fat and everything, and make sure they get back into physical condition before everything. So things are starting to move on that sense.
Definitely. The one that's got my heart skipping a beat is Ollie Skipp coming back.
Look what you did there.
Yeah. I am a massive fan of Ollie Skipp. Huge. I think the kid is going to be absolutely immense in a couple of years' time. He's not there yet, but I think this guy's got a bright future, and I'm a massive fan. So when he was out last season, it really was on the verge of heartbreak, because it's like this, he's got to play. He needs time to play. And I was really worried about his injury and whether or not it's going to stunt his development, which we will see. Really glad that he's back. Yeah, Tanganga was a bit like the forgotten man, wasn't he? Because it was just, he got the injury, and then it was just like, we've got other things to worry about. Mainly Emerson on the right in the right back position. Sorry, guys, I can't just. It gives me nightmares still. And Matt Doherty as well showed a little bit of promise. Showed that maybe he was going to be, get back to what he was for Wolves. And then getting injured like that, just again, it was just so Spurs. Good news. Good news.
It is, and you know what? I like Jaffet. I really wanted to work for Jaffet, and his confidence went last season. Like, after the wonderful start against Man City, what a performance that was, and then just fell apart.
Yeah,
just fell apart. Especially got sent off against Palace.
Yeah,
and then the last few games before his injury, his confidence, positional play, everything. So. I'm so excited by it. Not just people like him, but the whole team getting a Conte pre-season. Or a pre-season for some of them.
Yep.
So we shall have to wait and see. Before we start bringing people in, there is 1,100 people watching. There is 168 likes.
That doesn't make sense, Brian.
169.
That doesn't make sense. Can someone comment as to how that happened?
Exactly. And let's start changing that and get the likes up, especially for this channel. The boys do great work.
Yeah.
Ben is off on his honeymoon. Simeon is recovering from something. So please show the support to the boys.
Definitely.
And put some thumbs up there.
Yeah.
As we
Remember, you don't have to hit anything, though, right? I know that a lot of the time we say hit the like, subscribe, smash the like and subscribe. I even saw someone say annihilate the like and subscribe buttons. You don't have to. You can gently click them with your mouse as well. That is an option. So if some of you have not been sort of hitting it because, you didn't want to smash it, do know you can just gently click as well. That's available to you.
There we go. Before I bring on the first guest, which will be a very good guy in George, I can see him there waiting to come on. So we've got a super chat in from Sanju. Thoughts on Gold saying Enoch looking to sell Brian? I have tried to avoid it. Here we go. Okay. Do you think it will happen? And wait a minute. And who would you want to buy the club? Personally, I want Daniel Levy to stay. Okay, so you and me can touch on this before we bring George on. So people know my thoughts on Daniel Levy and the board. We've heard with money, with transfers we're going to get, that we've heard that he's going to sell so many times, and it's not happened. Listen, if he can sell the club, or Joe Lewis can sell the club, fantastic. That's my personal opinion, and it would, like I said, for me to change my stance on Levy would take 5 years of backing a manager with the players he wants in, not always spending hundreds of millions, but bringing the players in and constantly showing that he's there to back the manager. Like I'll say at the start, he has done at the start of this window. Who to buy? I've not really done my business research to find out who it should be or who it could be. I just want someone to come in and actually just have football interest first. That's all I care about. What about you?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page as you. It's not for us to necessarily think about who comes in, and the argument that you hear a lot is, "Oh, better the devil you know." Yeah, that for me doesn't hold a lot of water, because we don't know what any putative owner might or might not do. Yeah, it's perfectly feasible for the next owner, let's say, for instance, they do set up, and the next owner and the next chairman to be worse than Daniel Levy. Yeah, that possibility exists. But equally, the same possibility exists that the next owner is going to be better than Daniel Levy. It's 50-50. There is nothing to say that the next owner is going to be worse. There's nothing to say that the next owner is going to be better. Right now, a lot of people are dissatisfied with the chairman and which is the direction that he's taking the club, or the direction he has taken the club. And for us, and I count myself among them, we want someone different. If he changes his spots and he shows that he's interested in doing football things well, then I will change my stance, because I've gotten evidence to suggest that he's now operating differently.
Okay, so Simeon, I would imagine, has just typed in the chat, exclusive. Tottenham are targeting a package deal for both Richarlison and Anthony Gordon. Now now things are hitting up. Yeah. Everton bracing themselves for a combined bid of more on Sky Sports News and online. Now I loved Gordon. I absolutely love Gordon.
Yeah,
he would be a great, great addition. I think he was their player of the season last season. Yeah. I think he was fantastic. I would take him all day long.
And he's still young as well, so he's got potentially a very high ceiling.
So there we go.
Anthony Gordon makes more sense than Jed Spence, right? This is what gets to me about the Jed Spence talk, is the fact that he's not done anything yet. And I will say it again, he may one day be an amazing right wing back. He might be the world's best ever right wing back, but he's not that right now. So getting excited over him makes no sense for me. Anthony Gordon is proven in the Premier League. Yes, it was for Everton, who nearly got relegated, but he demonstrated that he can play in this league and play consistently. So for a young player like Anthony Gordon to be brought in and for him to develop, that's fine, because he's already at the level that Spurs want to play at, or close to that, whereas Jed Spence hasn't demonstrated that level yet. Yeah. And so this idea of, he might be brilliant, Conte will improve him. Yeah, he might do, but he's not there at the moment. It's like Emerson Royale. Royale might be a great right back or a right wing back one day, but he's not that now. We are not a club that takes unproven players and turns them into winners. We are a club that should be taking proven players, already proven players, into our squad. We're not a nursery club. Yeah.
Yep. And just two more super chats to get through. Then we will be bringing George on, buddy. So the first one is from Shells Heavy. It said, Højbjerg, Bentancur, Basuma, Skip. I love our midfielders. Do you see us adding another? Perhaps a locksmith or creative midfielder. Love the show, Community Spurs. Big up, Shells. The midfield is looking very, very good. Absolutely. I do think, like Shells, I think we need a little bit more creativity. But Anthony Gordon could do it.
Well, this is it. When the talk was all about Eriksen, I was saying it's not a priority. And it wasn't a priority because I felt that the central midfield, the sort of that battler, deep-lying playmaker or deep-lying midfielder, we needed to solve that problem first. Once we got Basuma, and then we've got Basuma, Skip, Bentancur, and Højbjerg, once that's it, now we can think about potentially a creative midfielder, as you say, a locksmith, someone who can do a different thing and give options to Conte when he wants to mix it up. So, yeah, I can see us adding another central midfielder just for options, definitely.
There we go. And finally, from Dad's Lads, said Levy is great. Our brilliant stadium and full spot. He's not great, but you're entitled to your opinion. Yeah. Like I said, I have my opinion. Everyone is entitled to their own. Our brilliant stadium, I've said, it's an architectural masterpiece. There is not a single thing wrong with that stadium. Yeah. And full spot, 2 words, Antonio Conte.
Yeah.
Yourself?
Well, I mean, to be fair, we've got to give Levy credit for the fact that he actually did draw up the blueprints for the stadium. Oh wait, this idea that because built this stadium, he's something different to any other football chairman, is false. Okay, we're not the only club who's ever built a new stadium. You know, other chairmen have built stadia as well. Arsenal's hierarchy built a new stadium a few years back, and at that time it was credited as one of the best stadia ever built. You know, this idea that because he built a stadium he should be given credit, no, that's what a chairman really should be doing, improving their club. Okay, if Levy had done that and also kept us competitive, then I would say he's a good chairman. Right? But he has failed on one of the signal points of being a chairman, keeping a club like Spurs competitive. Even in our dark days, we were always in the conversation. Will Spurs do something this year? Will Spurs challenge for something this year? Even in the 90s when it was absolute dog poo, right? We haven't been like that for a long time. No one gives us credit at the moment. Yeah? You know, ponder on that. Ponder on the fact that people don't consider us to be realistic challengers for anything except for a brief period under Poch. Yeah? That's the key.
All right, so there we go. So now it's time to start bringing people on.
Oh, woohoo!
And to start us off with is George. How you doing, George, buddy?
Hey, guys.
Oh,
how are you guys?
Let's see, is he on mute or are we plugged?
No, I'm not plugged in.
I am.
So that would
there
help.
you go. Plug yourself in.
You're not plugged in either.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
Here. I'm here.
Where does it go, Sam? It's on the floor.
It's on the floor. 1 second, people. George, 1 sec.
We'll be with you shortly.
Where is it?
I have no bloody idea.
Sam, where your help would be very...
Found it?
Okay.
George, say something.
Hello, gents.
Yes.
Hello, gents. How are you?
Good, we can hear you. Fantastic. How you doing?
Not too bad. I think that was more entertaining than transfer deadline day.
I thought you were going to say the programme up until this point. I was going to get very disappointed.
George, where do you want to start with all this news, especially with the news with Anthony Gordon?
Yeah, that's the first I've heard of it. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know too much about him. I don't know if he actually played against. Did he play against us on when we played?
I think he came on as a sub. I think he came on as a sub.
Well, being the 5-1, he did play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't recall seeing him. I mean, where I sit in the stadium, so I sit on the west stand in sort of the corner with the north. So I get quite a good view of right backs, and whoever was the right back that day didn't make a particular impression on me. Whether he came later on in the game when we were all sort of jumping around and celebrating, but look, if I'll go back to if I don't, if I've not seen him and Conte wants him, then bring him in. No issue with that. Conte is the defining the sort of what sways my decision making or what would sway my decision making if I had that ability. But yeah, I mean, look, we need the right back. Bring him in. I'm all for Jed Spence. I really would like to see him there. But yeah, definitely he's more for the future than anything. So yeah, I mean, if Conte wants him, bring him in.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I'll just clarify with the Jed Spence thing. It's not a case of me saying he's a bad player or anything like that. And it's not even a case of me saying don't bring him in. I'm just saying don't bring him in as our starting right back. Because whoever we bring in, because with Doherty still injured, from what I understand, whoever we bring in is going to be starting first game of the season.
You would think so. You wouldn't think he's going to be ready straight off the bat. But that's right. Again, I do want Jed Spence in, but I want someone more experienced to come in above him.
Yeah.
To learn off. What else, George, out of this big updates that we've been given today has caught your attention?
Well, the Gvardiol thing obviously was sort of really elevated my mood to great heights yesterday, and then after I saw the fact that he still wanted to stay, sort of then dropped them quite considerably. He would be a considerable acquisition I mean, that would be a real status signing if we were to get him. I'm with Rez on this. I don't understand the comments that have come out. His Champions League, he will get Champions League at Spurs. He'll still maintain his exposure. So whether that's just just really something for the agents to be teasing us with in order to get the price up, I don't know. But yeah, the Gvardiol thing, I think, is the players who we are getting linked to are real names now for the first time in a long time. And that's really what is giving me greater hope. So look, even if we can reel in 2 or 3 of these, it would be great news. I mean, I was watching Ali Gold yesterday, and he was saying his expectation was 4 or 5. So unless we're really going to downgrade our expectations next week by going in for a whole load of sort of second options, but it's good news. Look, getting Richarlison over the line would be great. He would be my first option to Rafinha if we're going to have a choice. That's great news. The fact that we're still linked with Rafinha and is probably scaring Arsenal half to death is a good thing as well. So let's wait and see the way things are, panning out. As long as we're still linked, I'm still going to keep hope.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree. In terms of Richarlison and Rafinha, obviously it's moved on, and the talk is now of sort of Richarlison with Anthony Gordon. If, let's say, that deal comes about, do you see us just walking away from Rafinha altogether?
How much money are they willing to spend? Your comments before were right. Absolutely. I think that we do have the money to spend. So don't forget that ENIC are saying 150 million. There you go. That includes off-pitch spending, but we still have got a budget before that 150 million came in.
That's right.
We've still got Champions League money that we're going to realise, and we have also got player transfers. So there is going to be money sloshing around, and I'm the last person to say let's spend it before we've got it, because that's never great management. Although having said that, because we're on the back foot at the moment, I think there's going to have to be an element of that. So whether we've got the money in the bank, I think, or not, we still have to go out and show commitment in getting some of these players, because we've been inactive for so long that if we actually want to remain competitive in trying to get a top 4 place, we need to invest in players. And if we don't invest in players, we are going to fall by the wayside. We've got five subs that are going to be used next season. So can you imagine Manchester City playing Manchester City and they've got 5 subs?
Yeah.
We retain the bench that we've got at the moment. We're just not going to be able to keep up the momentum for an entire season with that bench. So they know that they need to invest. It's quite simply that if we don't, we lose Conte.
Yes, absolutely.
I say, do you also think this, with the link with Gordon now, that takes Lucas Moura out the deal? Maybe the holding point here was we're trying to get a double deal from Everton, not trying to give him another player.
I don't think Lucas Moura was ever part of the deal. Lucas Moura doesn't want to go to Liverpool. Lucas Moura wants to stay in London. Yeah, Lucas Moura wants to play for Spurs for one more season. He wants to see Champions League action with Tottenham for that one season again. It's a personal thing for him. Lucas Moura wears his heart on his sleeve. He's not. It's not just the money for him. He's a very religious, very committed character, and Conte, I think, really appreciates the work ethic. Also, if you go back last season, replay some of the highlights that you can get on YouTube from the Premier League, from some of our games, with some of the goals that were scored. He may not have been directly attributable to some of those goals as an assist, a direct assist, But if you the person who ignites the fire, if you like, for the move that puts the goal in the back of the net, more often than not, when Lucas is on the pitch, is often Lucas. So I think that Conte wants him certainly for another season. And like I said, I just don't think that he would want to be anywhere else at this point in time. It would be too much of a risk for him. So I think, I think we're safe to say that he's going to be with us for next season.
Yeah, I think so.
There we go.
I think so too. I just got one question for you, George. On a scale of 1 to 10, when Tanguy Ndombele leaves, how big a party will you have?
I don't. Okay, I was going to say something about a certain other unsavoury character that we had who left to go to our rivals a few years back.
Oh, yes.
And recount a certain chant, but I won't do. Listen, Tanguy, I think, has become a very misguided individual, and he's in some aspects, I actually feel a bit sorry for him. He seems to have lost love for the game, and if you, whatever career path that you choose, if that happens, then that's actually a very sad day, because what you're doing, you don't love anymore.
Yeah.
I cannot see him going. I can't see this situation going to Turkey with him going to Turkey.
Yeah.
I just think that his makeup would. I would think that he would want to go to another big league. The clubs may have come to that arrangement. I don't think Tanguy would go out there. I think he would. For him, it's a pretty much of a disaster. For him going back to Lyon and Lyon turning around and saying, "Well, actually, we don't want you anymore because you've not cut the mustard." We're talking about the French league here, at a club where he was, he was given quite a bit of adulation. Yeah. So look. I do feel sorry for him, but sometimes you cut your own cloth, and that's the way that he's cut it. And unfortunately, a wasted talent. Quite sad.
But the thing is, can you see any club in any other of the big leagues actually wanting him after what happened with Lyon? The fact that he couldn't cut it in Ligue 1. I mean, is anyone in the German league going to take a punt on him? Is Italy or Spain going to take a punt on him? Is it a case of he doesn't really have a choice?
I can see him going to one of the peripheral teams in La Liga, perhaps. But I don't think that there is much to go on in the French league. Who else is really going to take a punt on him? And unless we take a substantial loss, again, I can't. What Premier League club is going to go for him? I mean, he's just not covered himself in glory in the way that he's gone about things. That walk off the pitch against Morecambe when we so really needed a goal, and the response from the crowd. I knew at that point that I'd never see him wear another Tottenham shirt again.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, George, listen, it was a pleasure seeing you, mate. It was a pleasure seeing you when I was over, and I will hopefully be back in December and look forward to seeing you then.
Have a safe trip. We'll keep in touch.
Of course, buddy.
Yeah, great show, yeah.
Thank you very much, George, brother.
George, thanks very much.
Speak to you soon, mate.
Bye-bye.
Take care, pal.
Spurs. So, we got one more caller in. So if anyone does want to call in now. But we have the last guest at the moment, which is Michael. Michael, how you doing, buddy?
Yes, hello, guys. Nice to see you.
Good to see you, pal. You all right?
We can hear you clear. So, what have you thought about this news about Gordon being involved in the Richarlison deal?
Personally, I don't think this has much merit to it, just because, Richarlison is their best player and Gordon is their best youth prospect. And I struggle to believe that they would like to get rid of both of them, even if they are in dire financial situation, right? But I would be buzzing if we got Gordon in, because as you guys said, the difference between Gordon and Spence is that Gordon already played here in the Premier League, whereas Spence is an unknown quantity, and you can't really you can't predict how well Spence will do. Whereas you have some idea of how Gordon can do, and we can develop him and nurture him into a great Premier League player. Whereas The way I describe Spence is that for me he's another Sessegnon, which is like I like Sessegnon. I'm not like mad that he will be our choice for the left wing back, right? But it's just a lot of money for an English kid that didn't necessarily prove anything yet. And I would much rather us go for like someone proven in the Premier League or someone older that already played that role for a couple more years on a senior level in like a top flight league, right? Of course, like Hakimi would be a dream, but that's probably not realistic.
Hakimi would be like a Bob Spur Kleenex rating of 12.
Yes,
wouldn't it?
Yeah, 12 on a scale of 10. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so I wouldn't mind Gordon. I would be happy if we got him. I just feel like it's not really that realistic to consider them letting go of both of like their like stars pretty much, right? Because Gordon got a lot of love from the Everton fans for this season, and you could even draw like similar conclusions to Bastoni deal, right? Bastoni is also a star in Inter, and he's their boy, and they don't really want to get rid of him. And right now, I think that Gordon is a similar situation. Well, yeah, if we got him, buzzing. If we didn't get him, I wouldn't mind, honestly.
Okay, so which one of the other transfer rumours that we were talking about do you want to speak about? Which one grabbed your attention?
Yeah, the Guardiol thing grabbed my attention, although I think that it won't happen this year just because it's really rare to grab a player that has 4 years left on his contract. He's just signed a new one last year. So I personally think that because he signed, I think, a new contract right now with a release clause, and so did Nkunku, as far as I know, and both of those release clauses trigger next summer. So I believe that Leipzig are preparing to offload like another generation of players, like they always do, right? They get like talent from Europe, they nurture them for 2 years, and then they sell them for big money. And I feel like they are preparing to do so in the next year. So I believe that Gvardiol isn't really a possibility unless we like splash the cash and go for like 85 million and basically submit an offer that you can't refuse. And in that case, I believe that they would probably sell. But I struggle to believe that we would, just because we have a lot of positions left to fill, and we all don't know what our transfer budget is, right? And nobody does, pretty much, except people in the club. So if we have, I don't know, 250 million, then yeah, of course we could probably spend 80 on Guardiol. But assuming that it's not as big, our transfer budget isn't as big, spending a great chunk of it on a player that you could fill his role with a much cheaper signing. And I'm not saying much cheaper like in 5 million range, but even 30 or 40 million is much more affordable for us than 80. So I wouldn't mind like Pau Torres coming in. I still believe that this guy has a lot of quality, but there is like a negative vibe about him. I'm not really sure why. I guess the Liverpool game was one of the reasons in the Champions League, but I still feel like the guy would be suitable for our back three. And yeah, I'm honestly, just in general, I'm calm about this transfer window, because I watch a lot of shows, not only here but on David Harris's channel and other channels, and a lot of people tend to start panicking a bit right now, because there has been like silence for past 1.5 week in terms of transfers, and I believe that we will get like 75 to 80% of our business done before Korea. So we still have 2 weeks left, I think, right? Or 10 days or 12 days, something like this. So I believe that we will get the business done. I just believe in Paratici. I don't think that they would promise Conte what they promised and then just let him down immediately, because it's just asking for trouble and asking for a tragedy. And I personally, like, I am calm. If another 10 days passed and we don't have anyone else in the squad, then I would probably start panicking a bit. But right now I'm calm. I'm ready to be surprised.
That's disappointing, Michael. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm joking. I've got a question that Brian asked earlier. Who would you rather see leave? Giovanni Lo Celso or Davinson Sanchez?
Giovanni Lo Celso, I would say, because I treat Sanchez as a really good standard of a backup center back. He hasn't disappointed me this season when he was coming off the bench. He put in solid performances when we had to see out the score of the game. So I think that keeping him in the squad is valuable for us because we don't have to search for another center back to provide backup to Romero. Whereas with Lo Celso, I don't see a place for him in the team, even though I'm not really I'm not mad at him. It's not that I hate him or anything, because I hate Ndombele. I don't want to see this guy ever again in our stadium, in our shirt, right? Because for what he did against Morecambe, that's a deal killer for me. Whereas with Lo Celso, if we, for example, decided to keep him and give him a chance, I wouldn't be so much against it. I wouldn't be happy, but I wouldn't be so much against it. But Davinson Sanchez, I think there is value there in keeping him, whereas with Lo Celso, we won't lose much if we get rid of him. And I would even say that we can gain a lot by getting rid of him, because there is a deal to be done with Villarreal, with Pau Torres. And, so that's basically it. I would much rather see Gio leave than Sanchez.
And the other player we haven't spoken about really we didn't get to George. What's your thoughts on Clement Lenglet?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so, I was thinking about it, and I read one comment somewhere about it where somebody claimed that maybe we are looking to loan Lenglet because we are trying to prepare to buy a left center back in the next year. So basically he would be kind of a stopgap to wait out the year, because this guy, he got a lot of stick in Barcelona, and Barcelona fans hate him, but I don't believe that he's as bad of a player as they describe him as. And of course I wouldn't be happy if he was our only center back that we brought in, because that's the thing that you guys are saying. We technically have a lot of transfer budget, and here we go with a free transfer loan, 25 million transfer, and suddenly it turns out that we have spent 50 million this summer, and that would be massively disappointing for me. But player itself, nothing against him, but I would prefer someone else, just because I want someone to be here for the next 3 to 4 years, and they know that they have a starting place, and they know that we want them permanently here, right? Whereas with Lenglet, loans are risky, in my opinion, most often, right? So yeah, I wouldn't be massively against it. I would just prefer us to buy a left center back.
There we go.
There was one other question I wanted to ask. It's not something we've covered today, but in your opinion, what percentage chance is there of Harry Winks no longer being a Spurs fan when the season kicks off? No longer being a Spurs player. Yeah, well, he might not be after we sell him. A Spurs player when we kick off the new season.
99.9%. I think that we'll offload him just because Conte was disappointed with his performances. I feel like there is a deal to be done somewhere with someone. I think there is plenty of clubs that would be good destinations for him. Everton is one of them. I feel like the two clubs that came up, Bournemouth and Fulham, I believe that they would be good destinations for him. Although I don't know what's the what's the relation between Tottenham and Fulham. I don't know if there is like any conflict. Maybe as a Spurs fan, he wouldn't want to go to Fulham.
Fulham are quite inoffensive, really. They don't really have even. I mean, Chelsea is round the corner to them. Even with them, they don't have much of a rivalry.
No.
Yeah, Chelsea has a huge rivalry with QPR, right? But not with
and Brentford.
With Fulham. Oh, I didn't know about Brentford. And us, of course.
And Liverpool, weirdly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and weirdly not with Arsenal for some reason.
No.
Like I never got that as, someone from abroad, why Arsenal and Chelsea aren't in like huge conflict.
No, last season they showed they were in love with each other, didn't they?
Exactly, to try and stop us, and look how that worked.
Yeah.
Look how that worked.
But yeah, I feel like we'll offload Wings, and I feel like he will end up somewhere in England. I don't see him moving abroad, but yeah, I think that he will end up somewhere in England. Maybe in Premier League, maybe in Championship, but I doubt that because
I think he's only going Premier League.
We ask for too much, in my opinion, for a Championship club to buy him, unless it's Fulham.
All right then, Michael. It's always a pleasure, buddy. I'll speak to you soon, or we'll speak to you soon.
Always a pleasure, guys.
Thanks, pal.
Take care, mate. Bye. Okay, I think we have one more guest sneaking in the back. Is he still there?
He is still there.
He is indeed. Let's bring him on. Dan, THFC, how are you, buddy?
Hey then, pal.
Doing good. How are you guys?
All good.
Can't complain.
So, what would you like to talk about, sir?
I mean, transfer window is crazy, isn't it?
It is if you're a Spurs fan.
Yeah. It is ridiculous.
Starts off, we're signing already 3 players, and now we're getting linked to a loan with Lenglet. Like, the most random things happen. But I think what the Spurs fans need to do, and this is something I've learned throughout this transfer window, is that what Alistair Gold says about the way Paratici works is so true. And we think that it's a PR stunt. No, it's actually the way that he works. He writes down like 20 players in each position, and it gets every single fan excited. And it's just an idea that Paratici has in the back of his brain.
You reckon?
Sometimes calm down. Yes, I'm 100% sure about that now.
I mean, I've got to admit that when I went mad, and I may have jumped the gun, and I mean when we heard that Chelsea had come into Lenglet and it had Shader Diaz for me. Someone messaged me.
Lenglet or Richarlison?
Sorry, Richarlison.
God, if you're coming for Lenglet as well, for God's sake.
Yeah, when they said with Perisic, we didn't know anything about Perisic until it was pretty much wrapped up and done. Fraser Foster, everyone thought it was Sam Johnston. Bang, it was Fraser Foster. Or Forster, however you pronounce his name. Forster, yeah. And then, of course, Bissouma, no one had a whiff, and then bang. So it is true to form at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's looking like we're trying to keep things undercover when we do our business.
So can you see, let's say, a central defender being purchased that no one had any idea over?
It's hard to say a name, though. I mean, maybe Bremer. Bremer could be a center back that nobody expects. We've been linked
to him. We have been linked to him. So that's the question. This is the wider question.
Yeah.
Who's out there that Spurs can reasonably be expected to sign that we've not actually been linked with? I'm not saying answer that question, Dan. I'm just saying throwing that question out widely, because the sort of high-profile ones have all been mentioned.
Yeah, it's true. What do you say, Dan?
Yeah, I do have a point. I'm trying to think of one. Maybe Koulibaly, but we've been linked to him too as well. So.
Yeah, but I think Koulibaly and the Gravadio one now, they're just simmering. Yeah. It's not one that we've been linked with for like the other players where it's been linked for a long set of time. Yeah, this could be the calm before the storm where we strike. Go on, Dan.
I would say also that Perisic, we were linked to him a while before we signed him. But I'm pretty sure I remember watching a Spurs update on WeAreTottenhamTV about Perisic a few weeks before we signed him.
Okay, so maybe they did. Maybe the boys here caught a whiff, but still the way that deal moved through was pretty. Maybe in a few weeks, and then bang, it just sailed through. The other two, obviously. But what have you thought about the other players we mentioned today? Dan, I haven't spoken to you for a while, actually. Where are you on Rafinha and Richarlison, if you had the choice?
On quality, Rafinha, no question. On fitting into the squad, Richarlison.
Okay. That's what I think a lot of people are saying, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are saying when it comes to getting into the squad and who offers the most for what we need is Richarlison. And what's your thoughts with Anthony Gordon now rumoured to be
part of the deal?
Yeah.
Listen, you guys have just blown this news right in my face. I've literally just woken up.
Okay. So it's all over Sky News and Twitter right now, and I'll give you the exact Twitter. Basically, we've made a double approach, and I'm going to read the tweet that I've been sent, and it's from Lyle Thomas from Sky Sports. Exclusive. We broke this a little while ago. Tottenham are targeting a package deal for both Richarlison and Anthony Gordon. Everton, and there's his word again, bracing themselves for a combined bid.
Because it's a surprise. This is the thing. A lot of clubs get surprised in the transfer window. They don't realise that other clubs are going to bid for them, so they brace themselves.
Exactly.
That's what they do.
But what's your thoughts on Anthony Gordon, Daniel?
Well, I think he's a quality player. I remember watching that Liverpool game against Everton, and he was just tearing them apart. He was like the only player in that team that actually showed some quality last season for Everton. So if we did sign him, it'd be really interesting the way that we'd go about it. I mean, Harry Winks, someone maybe we could throw into the deal. He's been in talks with Everton for a while now, but we're gonna see how we do it. I mean, we love to do a double transfer. We really love to do it. You remember how we signed Christian Romero? We got Golini in the deal. When we signed, when we signed
Kulusevski, we got Kulusevski and Bentancur.
Yeah.
When we try to sign, when we signed Perisic, we try to sign Bastoni at the same time. So we love a double transfer. I wouldn't be surprised if we go for it.
I think that's got one person and one person written all over it, hasn't it? And it's got Fabio Paratici
indeed
written all over it. Like when you were thinking, it brought me back to the deals way back in the day. Justin Edinburgh and Dean Austin, Michael Dawson and Andy Reid, Matt Etherington and Simon Davies,
Kyle Norton and Kyle Walker.
Yeah, we seem to love.
We like a double deal, don't we?
We do seem to love a double deal. So yeah, it's a good point, Dan. It is a very good point. So
actually, speaking of Bastoni, very quickly, could all of this just be the smokescreen for getting Bastoni?
It could be. It could be.
I mean, that would be the classic. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like Bastoni. No, we're not getting Bastoni. We're getting Bremer. No, we're not getting Bremer. We're getting Gvardiol. We're not getting Gvardiol. We're getting Longley. Oh, by the way, we're getting Bastoni.
It really is the pick and mix time, isn't it? It's like literally just putting your hand in the raffle and seeing what you get out. But Dan, so you were saying you think Anthony Gordon's a quality player?
Yeah, I think he's a really, really good player.
What impressed you with him last season? Obviously, it was his first full season in Everton.
Well, mainly we have to add with that team that he was playing with, they were literally in a relegation battle, and he grabbed them by the shirt and pulled them up. He's a quality player. I think in about 3 years' time, we'll be trying to put the name tag on him as world class. Honestly.
Okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
What few? What other stories have there been today that we were breaking?
Just Langley,
got Langley
pre-season, perhaps.
Can you say the Turkish guy's name again?
Oh yeah, oh God, I got to read it.
So for the inside, we're looking at again, Dan, a swap deal with
Hakan
Çalhanoğlu.
Yeah, I know who that is.
What do you think of him?
Well, what I think of him, not much, because I've never seen him play football in real life. But what I know from him is my FIFA career mode. That's literally all.
How does he do for you in FIFA career mode?
I had to sell him after 2 seasons.
Okay, so for those 2 seasons, how was he? We do the analysis of your FIFA.
Let's just say there's a reason why I sold him.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay.
People in the chat are also saying he's inconsistent.
There you go. He could be, but again, I can't remember how well he played under Conte, because Conte would obviously again know if he's got the attributes and got everything. So again, I think it's one of those. If Conte sees it and Conte
absolutely
is wanting him, then
you got to trust. You got to trust that he knows what he's doing.
Oh God, damn!
Another thing with him, we have to remember that if we sign him, we might be signing a Sol Campbell, because he went from Inter Milan to AC Milan.
Did he?
No, he went from I think he went from Milan to Inter Milan.
Okay.
There you go. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that.
But I don't see any player going from Spurs to Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly.
What was that?
But yeah, exactly. I couldn't see that happening. But the talk basically is at the moment with this one, Dan, is it's a swap deal. We haven't seen if cash is involved, but with either Davinson Sanchez or Giovanni Lo Celso going the other way. Who would you rather see being part of that deal, Gio or Davinson Sanchez?
I think Davinson Sanchez actually brings more to the squad, and it is for the Inter Milan player, the swap deal.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, I feel I don't know why I don't see this happening anymore with Giovanni Lo Celso, because I think Giovanni Lo Celso would want to go to Spain to play football, and I think he will continue at Real next season. I think we could try to sign a player like Pau Torres, or with a swap deal with Giovanni Lo Celso. It would be a hard deal to convince Villarreal of, but I think it could happen, and I think Villarreal really rate Giovanni Lo Celso for that season that he had with them last season. So I think it could happen.
There we go. So Danny's just messaging. Apparently he didn't play under Conte. He came in. So thank you for that, Danny.
Well, I mean, ultimately, but the thing is that it doesn't necessarily have to be a player who's played for Conte that we go for. It's about whether or not Conte and Paratici together can identify players that will fit into things. What we failed at Spurs with our transfers a lot of the time is due diligence.
Yep.
And Ndombele and Giovanni Lo Celso show that. So the hope is that Paratici will do that as a sporting director. We'll look into the players and say, this player fits because I've analysed that player, their stats, their attitude, spoken to people, scouted them, done the whole business around them. So if I'm not going to say as if Hakan, let's call him Hakan, has been identified as an addition, why the hell not?
There we go. So also, what was I going to ask Dan? So to say, Dan, also I'll ask you, there'd been rumours, because we haven't even asked this one, there'd been rumours come out yesterday that this could be the year that Levy and Enoch set up.
I was just going to say that. I was honestly just about to say that.
So here we go, Dan. What's your thoughts on it?
Listen, I've got the confetti ready. I've got the party. Everybody's getting invited.
Mate, you might have to fly over from Orlando to Toronto and join my party, because believe me, I will be having a very big one.
There'll be parties in the street. You'll rent an open bus on the top. We'll be in there with everybody on the ground.
But do you think it'll happen, Dan? Do you reckon it'll actually happen?
It's realistic, because I think, well, I honestly see him maybe even considering this season, because what I've heard is that he wants to sell Tottenham while we're at our best. And right now we've got Champions League football. We look attractive. We've got a good manager. We're playing good. We're attracting a lot of players. So it looks like we're an attractive club right now. And Levy could get the maximum from Enoch could get the maximum of us from right now. So I could even see it happening right now. But I can understand why he wants to sell us because of that reason exactly, because we're in a really good moment right now.
Mm.
There we go. Any other questions for Dan, Rez?
No, nothing. I think. Yeah. No, actually, I've got another question. Out of those that we consider to be surplus, if you had to pick one to keep, which one would it be?
Surplus being Deadwood, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, I don't know. It depends who you consider Deadwood, because I don't see Davinson Sanchez as Deadwood.
Okay, so you can't pick him.
No, and Giovanni Lo Celso, he could get us in a transfer market. That's why I really want to sell him, because a lot of teams actually value him highly, like in Spain. So we could get a good deal out of them from there. And Ndombele, I mean, the guy, if we don't sell him, I'd honestly be wanting us to terminate his contract.
Okay, but we're talking about one that you have to keep.
Yeah, but I can't.
That's the thing. Out of the players that you consider to be Deadwood, you have to keep one of them. All the others will get sold off. Which one would you choose to keep?
If Davies is considered Deadwood, I'll keep Davies.
Do you consider him Deadwood?
I don't, but that's the thing.
So there you go. So the likes of Rodon, Mora, for instance, some people consider him Deadwood, stuff like that. In your opinion, the players that you think are Deadwood, which one would you, if you had to, which one would you keep?
Mora, because I do consider him Deadwood, but I also think at his best he's really good.
Okay, there you go.
There you go,
Well,
Dan.
thanks,
I'll
Dan.
speak to you when I'm back, and then I can come back on your great channel when needed. Give your channel a quick shout, buddy.
You guys can find me at DanTHFC on YouTube. We actually just smashed the well, we didn't just smash it, but at the end of the last season, we smashed the 500 subscriber goal.
Well done, Dan,
nice
brother.
one.
Everybody for that, but thanks for having me, guys. I'll see you guys on the next one. Come on,
you certainly will. See you later
pal.
on, buddy. Hey, right. So before we bring on the next guest, we have got another super chat, and it's from Brandon Troller. Thank you very much indeed for it, Brandon. And it says, every other big club, bar Chelsea, has already made a permanent attacking signing. Time's ticking, fellas. Getting more worried by the day.
I can understand that. I can understand someone being worried. I'm not worried, but there's a little sense of anticipation almost. It's sort of like, come on, do a deal. Get on with it. Maybe that's asking too much. Maybe I should be patient, but I can understand that. At the same time, I can understand those that are saying, look, have patience, stick with it. There's still time. I can understand that as well. Ultimately, I think it just comes down to each person's feeling about it, really.
Yeah, as I said, it's got to the point where, like I said, my Levy senses are tingling. It's my thing that I'm going with. So yes, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, like I said, I still believe we will spend all the money. I've always said it. I think we will spend the money. It's just when, not if. That's the issue.
Well, I mean, look, a lot of people, and I count myself among them, have said that if Conte doesn't get what he wants by the time he wants it, I can see him walking. Do you think that will happen? Because if he doesn't, if he doesn't get them by the time they leave for Korea, or the majority of what he wants by the time he leaves for Korea, he can legitimately turn around and said, you have not given me the squad that I wanted by the time pre-season starts. Do you see him still, even now, after those 3 signings, walking?
No, I don't think he's walking. I don't think he's walking one little bit. I think he'll be annoyed, but I don't think he's walking anywhere. What I'd love to see more than anything is just have him sign his new contract. Get that signed, sealed, delivered, and then you've got him for 3 years, whatever it may be, and then we go. But now we will bring on the next caller.
Who is the next caller?
The next caller is AKA Superman, Bob Spur TV.
It's not Bob, it's his ear.
How are you doing, Bob?
Yeah, all good, man. Oh, sorry. Yeah. How you doing, man?
All good, brother.
Great show.
Cheers,
Thank you,
pal.
brother. So, what's your
And
thoughts?
then we're live.
Right, that's it.
Okay, so Anthony Gordon, what's your thoughts on the deal?
It's Red's just been asking, which player could we see come from left field, literally, that has not been spoken about, and we get him through the door. I reckon it could be Gordon. The fact that the only reason I'll give it a bit of credibility is because Sky Sports are reporting it. They, for me, are the go-to people when it comes to, because the reputation's so big. 9 times out of 10, they do their research before announcing such stuff. So I reckon there's a bit of credibility to that. They would have done their homework before announcing such a news on, certainly via Lyle, who we all know is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Gordon might be that player who we see come out of nowhere. I know there's talks of Everton not wanting to, aren't even going to consider moving him on. We don't know. It's another rumour to add to the list. I just hold this rumour a bit more cred, like I say, a bit more credence than the other ones. But Everton need to sell, man. Everton need to sell.
Can you see them getting rid of essentially what is their best player and probably their best young player in this transfer window? Because I mean, yeah, they're in a lot of trouble. You can't deny that. I do agree with you, but I mean, it's a massive sacrifice to make to get rid of both.
You mentioned earlier, didn't you, Rez? Everyone has a price, and if Spurs are wanting to show ambition, and I'll rate Gordon. You know, he was man of the match. First half he was brilliant against Liverpool. He caused them probably the most problems down that right hand side. He gave Trent a run around, and he was Everton's most dangerous man at Anfield. So I do rate him, and obviously it was him, wasn't it, who fouled Eriksen, realised it was Eriksen, and then gave him a hug.
Yep. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think so.
And I mean, he played against us, so we nullified him. But against Newcastle, he was one of their biggest danger men. So no, I do rate him. For me, he's well above Spence when it comes to a potential signing because he's got Premier League experience.
Exactly.
So for me, the potential has been fulfilled to an extent. And if he's done so well in what has been a very defensive Everton side, who's to say what he can do in a front line of Harry Kane, Sonny, and Kulusevski, who, remember, is like left-footed as well, can break in. I mean, I just mentioned it, and it's probably a load of bull crap, but who's to say that Conte possibly doesn't see him with his stamina, with his fighting spirit? He's got a bit of a tackle on him. Oh, yeah. Left wing back position, you know, and put Perisic down the right. There's every chance that, and maybe there's a bit of flexibility there with Gordon as well. Richarlison for me is me personally is a statement signing because I do really rate him. And we get Gordon in there as well, and at the same time manage to move on. That's why a double deal seems a bit more likely. If a Lucas and Winks for Richarlison and a Gordon just seems right to me. But then there's 8 people, the two clubs, the player and the 4 players. So there's a hell of a lot of people who need to agree certain terms before.
Then you got to add their agents as well, brother.
Agents as well, yeah.
So
are you concerned about? I mean, the only right whack. What's a right whack? The only right wing back we've been linked with seems to be Jed Spence. Are you concerned that we're not hearing noises about other right wing backs? I know that there's apparently a dearth of them. There's not that many to sort of choose from, but is that of a concern to you?
Yeah, I said on the show the other day, it's all very well Richarlison. It'd be great to have him in, but for me, wing backs, considering our source of creativity will be coming from the wing back positions, that should be our priority. It's all right for me to say if Conte / Paratici don't see that as a source of concern or somewhere we need to be players we need to be bringing in. That's fair enough. But for me personally, wing backs should be coming in prior to any attacking player right now. But like you say, Rez, there's hardly anyone out there, man. Yeah. Spence is good, and I said this last week. The fact we are allegedly haggling over 5 million. How much is he worth? Might be worth X amount to Borough, but if we're haggling over 5 million, how much is he worth to us?
Yeah.
You know, does it say more about the player, or does it say more about our ambition, or does it say everything about Borough, who were quite happy to loan him out to a championship team last season? So I don't know, man.
But then obviously the news that's coming out today is what defender you do like, and we were speaking about last night, Gavardiol.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying, you know, Lever will never pay, or Leanic will never pay that. But one thing he will bring at the age of 20, even if he stays with us 3, 4 years, 5 years, the mindset shouldn't be like that. I'm just thinking a Leanic's mindset. The guy's got resale value. I don't believe that should be the case. A good player like that comes in, he should stay with us till the end of the career and win trophies after trophies after trophies. But the only way it would possibly make sense. 80 million, I don't think, man. I don't think 80 million would be a price, an achievable price. Plus, he's got like 3 or 4 year on his contract. But who's to say that there isn't a Romero-esque kind of deal we can do with Leipzig, 20 years old, left-sided centre-back, hard unit. For me, it'd be a great addition. And if you're looking at it from the Lenik mindset, 5 years down the line, 25 years, 26 years, year old, in his peak, he'd have that resale value. So it could be good business because not many things you can guarantee. You can't guarantee this, but there is loads more potential in this. Bastoni's an outright, above anything out there. But this guy is something special. And for me, I'd say 8.5 on the Kleenex scale.
He's rivaling Hakimi there at the 12.
Yeah.
Hakimi. But yeah, who else would we be? So yeah, with this, if you were to lose a player, out of Lo Celso and Davinson, who would you lose?
Lo Celso, man. Davinson, we've got to remember, you're spot on. When he comes in for the first 3 or 4 games, came in towards the end of the season. We all shut ourselves when we found out Romero was going to play against Arsenal, and he ended up helping us keep 3 clean sheets at the end of the season, which was paramount. And let's be honest, Sanchez isn't going to be a starter, so we'll be coming in for 3 or 4 games here and there, and that's when he performs at his best. So for me, Sanchez would be a stay, and especially if we don't get 2 centre backs in. If we just end up with a 1 left centre back, I'd rather have a Sanchez as an option. Then again, Davis I wouldn't get rid of as well. We need options, don't we? It looks like Rodon's going. Tanganga, we're not sure about. The only option we'd have if we do bring one other centre back is going to be Davis. So definitely Sanchez. Lo Celso, the sight of him running a ball out of play against Leeds when there was no one around him, I still have nightmares about it, even during the coma.
So I just need to let you know, Alistair Gold has tweeted, and he tweeted all of 6 minutes ago, which stated Spurs are indeed looking at Anthony Gordon as a potential homegrown summer signing, and as per at Sky Sports Lyle, could test the water with Everton over a double deal with Richarlison. For what it's worth, he said, I really like Gordon and he can play on both flanks. So he offers versatility as well, homegrown. So this story is started, like we said with the smoke screen kind of, and this one is starting to gather pace and quickly. I like him. I'm he's a rating 7 for me compared to a Spence who's a 5. And Spence apparently. I know the homegrown quota is important, but I don't think we should be buying a player just for the sake of getting a homegrown. I think we need to think beyond that. I think we need to be better than that. But what Gordon does is bring us quality and that quota as well, which is ideal. But we shouldn't be considering players out there. Oh, is he homegrown? He might not be that good, but hey, we'll get him in to fill in that quota. No, we need to look at quality as well as someone who can fill the quota as well.
Oh shit!
Oh, we've lost Bob.
Bob?
We've lost Bob.
What happened?
Are we still live? Are we still live, people? Can people put yes, we're live in the comments? Let's have a look.
I'm still getting stuff, but this was before.
It's looking up. We are still live. We are still live. So I don't know what has happened to Bob Spur there. Has he come back in? Okay, so Bob Spur, thank you very much indeed, brother. So we have one more person in the back end.
Don't worry. By the way, don't worry, guys. Bob will be here tomorrow in the studio, so you'll get plenty of him tomorrow anyway. So
let's bring on the next guest, and it is the one, the only, the Jorical.
The Iceman.
How are we doing, Jory, brother?
I'm great. How about you guys?
All good. All good, thanks. Obviously, you've heard the news that's breaking at the moment. Double deal with Anthony Gordon. What's your thoughts?
Well, I had another double deal, which was Ben and Sim out and Brian and Rex in.
That's a hell of a commute, though, for you, Brian.
Yeah,
biggest upgrade ever, guys. Biggest upgrade ever.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
They're going to kill us now. You're going to be in Canada. They're going to kill me.
Yeah. But what's your thoughts, Jory, on the Spurs double deal with Anthony Gordon?
Well, I mean, it sounds like I think we've been thinking, or at least I've been thinking, 2 out in the Everton scenario for quite a while. Winks and maybe Lucas or something like that. But if it's gonna be 2 in as well, and especially their best prospect, I think that's great. I don't know too much about Gordon other than every time I've watched Everton, I've actually noticed him and liked him. So I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing. I don't think, like, the way I feel about it now, especially with the drawing of the £100 million and stuff like that. I think our headliner is still undercover. I think there's only one name that I think might become like headline signing before they leave for Korea, which is Bastoni. But if it's not Bastoni, I think the main course is still unknown. I think it's kind of like with Perisic and the other deals at the start, that they're like Basuma and stuff. It's very undercover, and I actually am starting to think that all our all of Don Fabio's rummaging around for forwards is maybe a bit of a smoke screen for maybe a headline wing-back signing or something like that, because it's much more difficult to kind of find. I think centre-backs and strikers, as much as we need them, there's more options there, whereas Conte-level wing-back, it's not too many options out there, so...
this is the thing. Everyone sort of says their dream signing would be Hakimi, and that would be a dream signing for me. But, I mean, who else is out there? What other right wing backs can we think?
I don't even know with Hakimi. Is Paris unhappy with them, or was that ever official that they're open to offers? I just heard the rumor, and of course we would love to get him, but so many rumors, so I don't even know if he's available really. I think in terms of like wing backs and stuff like that, and even in terms of centre backs, there's so much quality that's not headline grabbing, so the insiders like Conte and his people will know of a ton of people, of course, that might be considered, and then we'll hear of it, and then we'll do the research, and wouldn't you know it, they're pretty amazing players, but they're not the forwards, they're not the obvious goal scoring forwards, which usually get the most attention from the media. But that being said, I do agree. I don't think there's definitely not too many established world-class wingbacks that would be, like maybe Hakimi is available, and like I would love to see that, but apart from that, there's nothing really obvious there. And like, but I also think, like you guys were talking about, like, I think Bob Spurs said it, like the wing back situation is the most critical. That is really our biggest gap right now. Even if we get Spence, fine. Maybe he can be molded. Maybe he's going to be up and running quickly. We don't know that. I don't think Conte is gonna go into this season with that kind of unknown or risk. I think, to be honest, I was thinking about it yesterday. I was watching some videos and stuff. I think our real goal, like our project goal for this season coming up, is 3rd place. Like below that, it's gonna be a disappointment for Conte. I think 3rd place is the aim. If the top 2 guys, Man City and Liverpool, falter, we'll pounce from then. Then we'll attack, and we'll do some business in January to try and get it over the line, you know. But I think our baseline, what we're looking at now, is going one more up the table, going into third place. I think it's the right aim as well. I think Chelsea, no matter what, is going to be in a transitional state, you know, and I'm really having a hard time seeing the future for Chelsea being as glorious as it's been under Abramovich. Even if they pour the money in, I don't think that they will have, like, I mean, sure, the Americans at Liverpool have done a good job, but in general, I doubt that they will match what Abramovich did for that club. I mean, anybody would be hard pressed to match that anyway, you know. So, so I think it's the right time for us to step up, you know, in that regard. And also, you talked about the selling of the club. I definitely think, like, you know, I'm one to speculate a lot, as you know, guys, and my speculation is that now Levy and Joe Lewis and Enoch is going to back Conte now for 1 or 2 or 3 years, and that's going to be their window to sell the club when the club is going to be at its most glorious. You know, that's when they want to try and, you know, get an Asian investor, whatever, American investor, whatever. I do think that's their plan. You know, I do think they're behaving in a way that's not their normal operation. I don't, to be honest, I don't foresee them being able to stomach kind of the high risk, high reward business model that we're kind of going into with Conte now. Even though the revenue is going to be great, you know, we're still going to be making money. You know, it's just they have another kind of approach to thing, and also I don't think they don't want to take the heat from a discontent Conte, with the fan base backing Conte in terms of that. And we know sooner or later that's going to happen, you know. So
I mean, if it were to happen, Jory, how soon do you see it happening?
So I think there's been made a decision now to back Conte to get silverware for the next 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And I think they're gonna use it. They're not gonna go anywhere if they don't get their price. We know that. They can make this big money, and they never put themselves in that position. And you know, good for them. You know, they're good businessmen in that term. And we have to now also, as many kind of nasty wool over your eyes tricks that they've played on us through the years, we also have to give them a little bit respect for building that financial base that we now actually can act like a big club, because we've always been a big club community. We just never had the club really, you know. So so I'll give them that credit, you know. But I think that what they're doing now is exactly looking at a setup where they can exit, and Conte will get what he needs, and we, the fan, will hopefully get some silverware that we need. And I think this will run maybe the 2-3 years with Conte.
Okay.
But I think, if we get that, but what I also think then is that Conte, at least, and Paratici will have installed a club structure and personnel that's gonna be favorable for us for the next 10 years at least, you know. So I think this club has tolerated mediocrity in every place of its working, from cooking bad lasagna, even though they didn't cook it, but you know, the medical team, whatever. I think it's a soft club. It's you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of culture, and I think that will, if they get those years, that will be gone. You know, if they get 2 years, Paratici and Conte will have that out of the club, and that's hopefully also a good time when when an ambitious rich owner that won't be too much looking at building a retail brand like Enoch have been focusing on, might be able to take it over. But we also know we could get worse owners also.
Yep, there is the risk.
Of course.
Yeah, there is the Cronkies of the world. There is all kinds of not
the
particularly
yarns.
The one thing I will say is at least the Cronkies have beat 1 FA Cups, have won.
Yeah.
Like I said, they flirt with it. So that's the thing. Well, all we want, like I said, all we want is glory days at Tottenham back and winning trophies, not just semi-finals and finals and getting fourth. But we shall have to wait and see. We shall have to wait and see, Jory. But you think there's some legs behind it this time?
No, yeah. I mean, like I say, I mean, it makes you nervous to see Levy doing the Spence deal and stuff like that. But I also think the only reason Levy is doing the Spence deal is because it doesn't really matter in their plan. It's it would be nice and all of that, but it's not going to make any crucial difference for Conte either way. So I don't believe Conte would accept this kind of stuff if it was a key piece in his puzzle. I think Paratici is taking care of all of that and doing a good job so far. But we've had a big kind of a lot of connections, but nothing happening. So I think we're going into a week 10 days, where a lot of stuff is going to be happening.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so, Jory. Jory, always a pleasure, my man.
Likewise, guys. Now just make sure those two brothers don't get back in the studio.
I'll certainly pass the message on. I'm sure they're watching, or I'm sure Simeon's watching at least. But Jory,
I love them, man. I'm just kidding, guys.
Jory, we will speak to you soon, my man. Always a pleasure.
Take care, pal. Thanks very much.
See you later on, buddy.
Bye.
Sam, anyone else in the back? All right. Headphones off. Oh, that's better. So so Rez, always a pleasure doing this show. The first time I've done it with you. First time, and unfortunately it'll be the last time this visit because I'm back off to Toronto. Just a big thank you to We Are Tottenham TV.
Absolutely.
For having me back on. A big thank you to Ben and Sim, and obviously being at the wedding for Ben and Ashley. It's been great spending time with all the We Are Tottenham TV crew, as well as all our little YouTube community. Thanks for everyone in the chat. Like I said, you can find me on Tottenham on Tour.
Indeed.
You can find you on
Shelfside Spurs Show.
And that'll be that for today. If any news breaks, we will be back. If any news breaks within the next hour or so.
Yep.
Next hour or so, we'll be back. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, and as always, come on you Spurs.